Hi, Year 6. I hope you are all well, and I hope you're ready for your English lesson. So this is the third lesson of the week. I'll just share my screen and we can get started. Brilliant. So today is Wednesday, the 24th of February, 2021, and our learning objective today is to use superlatives in context. Superlatives. Don't worry too much about what those words mean at the moment. Can you please make a start on our starter? So you are going to be asked to describe, okay, so using your adjectives, you're going to describe either how the people might be feeling on the ride, so this picture here, or the shape and size of the roller coaster. Okay, so within your ambitious sentence that you're going to create, it could be a narrative. I am looking for description of either how the people are feeling or the shape and size of the roller coaster. Pause the screen and then I will share a sentence with you. Brilliant. Okay, so in my sentence, I am going to just show you what I had. So I've got this. I started to regret my decisions when the roller coaster waited at the top of Danger Zone, the world's tallest ride. So I decided to use this image to help me with my ambitious sentence. We will come back to this, but let's move on. So looking at our learning objective, do you remember I read this word out? It says superlatives. To use superlatives in context, okay? But before we try to even understand the whole learning objective, what is a superlative? Well, a superlative or superlatives are used to compare more than two things to say what is the biggest or the greatest. Okay, so they're used to make comparisons, to compare more than two things to say what the biggest or the greatest is in a particular category. Okay, so what do you think these two superlatives, so biggest and greatest, are superlatives themselves? What do you think they have in common? Now, there's something highlighted to help you in answering that question. What do you think it is? Brilliant. Hopefully you saw that it says est, the suffix est at the end of these two words. Big est, great est. Okay, so well done if you spotted that. Now, so some examples of superlatives are words which have the suffix est, like we said, biggest and greatest. Can you think of any more? Brilliant. Okay, so hopefully you might have thought of the following: quickest, smartest, coolest, busiest, tallest, fastest, smallest, oldest. Can you see? They all have, if I change my highlighter, they all have the suffix est. Okay. Now, when the root word ends with a Y, like busy, we change the Y. So we've got busy as our root word here. And when we change our busy into a word that ends with est, we take the Y off and we add an I, then include our suffix est. Okay, brilliant. So hopefully you thought of some more superlatives. So, okay, so we've had a look at superlatives and at the moment they all end in est. So what about amazingest or colossalest or thrillingest? Do those make sense? Why? Why not? And what would we use instead? So pause the screen, have a think. Amazingest, colossalest, and thrillingest. What would we use instead of adding the suffix est in these superlative forms? Brilliant. Hopefully you decided to write most at the start before the word. So most amazing, most colossal, most thrilling, okay? It's this idea of whatever you are describing it is at the top of the list, okay? It's the most amazing, the most colossal compared to anything else. It is the most thrilling, okay? So can you think of other words where you might not have the est suffix, and instead you'd add most before the word? Can you think of any more? Okay, great. Let's continue. Okay, so we're looking at superlatives, and we know that they are used to make comparisons. All right. Knowing that we are, and not just comparisons, but describing something that's at the top of the list, something that's the best. Knowing that we are making brochures by the end of next week, what do you think the point of looking at superlatives is? Why do you think we're looking at superlatives? Pause the screen and have a think. Great. Hopefully you would have remembered our purpose. One of the purposes that we have in terms of making our brochures is to persuade the audience. Now, that's to get somebody to do something you want them to do. You're persuading them to come to your theme park. Now, if you're persuading somebody, do you want to tell them that it's an okay theme park, or it's an average theme park? No, you want to tell them it's the best theme park, the most amazing theme park, that the rides are the most thrilling rides that they would ever encounter. Okay, you want to persuade your audience, and superlatives will help you to do so. Okay, so again, here is just what I've just said. So when you're creating your brochures, you want to show your audience that what you're telling them about, the theme park you're telling them about, is the best. And superlatives will help you make comparisons, okay, without actually saying compared to anything else. Brilliant. So you understand that. Great. Now let's have a look at ordering something from least to most. Okay, so in each of these lists, there's a superlative, and hopefully you'll realize the ones ending in your est suffix or starting with most will be your superlative. So can you have a go at trying to order the following for question 1 and then question 2 and then 3 from least to most? Pause the screen, have a go, and then I will reveal the answers. Great. Hopefully you would have got the following. So the first one is bright, brighter, and then brightest. So this is least to most. Brightest, our superlative, being the greatest, the highest, the best, at the top of the list. Okay, so then we've got ugly, uglier, ugliest. So as we go further down the list, we've got it, the word becomes more and more of the word. And then we have famous, more famous, and most famous. So our middle words here, the middle word for when using a word that can't have the est suffix, the middle description would have more. Okay, so it goes famous, more famous, most famous. Okay, so having a look at making more comparisons, what you've essentially done is you've identified the order, and now we can realize that the first things in our list are the adjectives. Okay, so bright, ugly, famous, they are all adjectives. And then our middle word to compare is a comparative. Okay, so brighter, and realize that the middle words will have our suffix er. Okay, and so these are called comparatives. More famous would be a comparative. And finally, at the end of our list, we have our superlatives. Okay, the highest, the top part, the best part, okay, or the most part. Okay, so these will be the superlatives. Okay, can you please have a go? We've got here our table that says an adjective in this column, a comparative in this column, and a superlative for this column. So we've got fast, faster, and then fastest. Okay, with our are appropriate suffixes added to our adjective. Can you please have a go at figuring out what the answers are for these blank boxes? Pause the screen, have a go, and then I will reveal the answers. Brilliant. Hopefully you would have said safe is the adjective and the comparative is safer with our er suffix. Hopefully you would have said safest is the superlative with est as your suffix. Now, difficult cannot be difficulter as a comparative. We cannot add that suffix onto difficult, so it becomes more difficult as our comparative. And then our superlative will be most difficult. So have a look at the patterns that you can see where our comparatives end in er or have more at the start of their word, and superlatives end in, so the suffix is est, and if you cannot use the suffix, you add most before the word. Okay, brilliant. Let's have a look here. So in your main activity, you will be asked to create sentences using superlatives. So can you have a go at using the superlative fastest in a sentence? Pause the screen and have a go, and I will share a sentence with you. Great. This was my sentence here. The world's fastest train is the bullet train in Japan. Okay, so there I've used fastest in context. So this is making a comparison with other trains around the world without actually mentioning compared to other trains, the bullet train is faster. It's saying it is the fastest, it's the top of that list, okay? Okay, so now we have the adjective beautiful, and you have to change this into its superlative form. Pause the screen, have a go, and can you write this in a sentence? You may have seen the answer there. Brilliant. Hopefully you said it's not beautifulest, it's most beautiful. That would be your superlative form. And here is a sentence that I've written. The most beautiful view I have ever seen is the mountains in Austria. Okay, so that is my use of the superlative most beautiful. Okay, brilliant. So now looking at our success criteria, we need to use superlatives in context. So to be able to do this, and to be successful in achieving your learning objective today, you will need to understand the difference between adjectives, comparatives, and superlatives. So that's what we did here in our table. You will need to decide whether to use the er or and est or more and most as your suffixes or words added before, depending on your adjective. And you will also be expected to write sentences using the correct superlative form. Okay, now here's a tip, and this will be on your assignment today, but let's go through this together. I'll read it to you in case you might have difficulty. So it says, so for superlatives, they're used to show that something is the greatest in a group. Okay, we understand that, that's great. Now here's a tip. For an adjective that has one or two syllables, add est as your suffix. Okay, so an adjective that has one or two syllables. Let's have a look at this. Fast, safe, and difficult. So let's have a look at safe compared to difficult. Safe, that's one syllable, so we can add s to make it a superlative. Now, if we look at difficult, that is three syllables. So if we look at this tip, it says adjectives that have three syllables use most when you change them to superlative form. So difficult, three syllables, and so we add most to change this into a superlative form. Okay, brilliant. So can you head over to Teams and complete the assignment for today's lesson? Make sure that you choose the challenge. There'll be star colours, bronze, silver or gold, that you feel most comfortable to complete. So think about what you would usually do in school. And all 3 challenges will be in the same document. So if you are doing the gold challenge, you will have to scroll all the way to the bottom and it will be there. And also with the silver, you'd have to scroll down and it will be there. You'll see the coloured stars. And here's a reminder, make sure you add superlatives to your checklist. Remember that piece of paper that we went through yesterday? Can you please make sure you add that to your checklist? Oh, and second person that we went over yesterday. Hopefully that will be on your checklist already. If not, please add that to it. Now, that is the end of the lesson. I wish you good luck with your assignment and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.